Very different feeling in it, turning up at Wembley today with all the security, the biosecurity, the things you can and can't do. You do have to take them into account, but however, to see rugby league at this iconic stadium, I've sort of wrestled with it during the week. Is it something that the players will look at and see as a negative? No crowd, no atmosphere. There are different ways to look at that. There are different ways that when you do something wrong or right within a final, that wave and that sort of exclamation mark and magnifying what you've done can weight or inspire players. So that could be something that is in the positive column. The other thing in the positive column is this final will never be forgotten. It's the final without fans. It's the final that everybody will be watching at home on TV. We've had a big week in rugby league. We've had a big week at the club with Rob Burrow and all the wave of emotion that has happened since the documentary that was aired on him and his battle with motor neuron disease. So that will bring new eyes, new ears, and new people to watch this game. So it's a long answer to a short question. I'm just glad that we're here. I'm just glad that the players who are only 2 games into this journey, but they get a chance to play in a cup final.
You've been here yourself. What will be going through the players' minds right now?
I've tried to put myself in the mind of the players, and something Richard Agar said during the week. I heard him talk about the peripheral stuff with your wife, with your family, organising your tickets, travel, accommodation, something that I recall in '99. Not my first major final, but one of the ones where I had a young family. Young Billy was the mascot, who's now 24 and a teacher, to make everybody feel old. He was the mascot on the day. My mum and dad and all extended family had to organise them. So with that taken away, the players have just had to focus on the job at hand. So they will be thinking about their job, they'll be thinking about their involvements and what they have to do for their teammates. Thankfully, for the Rhinos' perspective, nobody suffered at the hands of COVID. I feel desperately sorry for Dan Sargentson, so the opposition changing rooms, will be feeling it for their teammate who can't take his place in the final through no fault of his own. So thankfully, from the Rhinos' perspective, Richard Agar's had a full squad to choose from. He's had to make some of those decisions that when we were looking at it peripherally, thinking that would be a tough one, particularly the fullback between Richie Myler and Jack Walker. So he's made that decision now, and shortly we'll get a look at the 17s.
And with Agar, what do you think the messages he'll be saying to the players right now?
You'd look at this as a player and you'd think, right, I know my job, I know my role, and I'm just going to get on with it. As a coach, it would be about reinforcing that process, if you like, a really cold term that has no emotion tied to it. But that's what today is about: doing everything that you can do in the best way that you can do it. So Richard Agar, I suspect, will be getting round his players, putting his arm round them, making sure they're full of confidence, making sure they know what they've got to do, and know that he and the rest of the team are counting on them to do them. So I think it's an enjoyable time. I've not been lucky enough to go into the changing rooms, but I've seen a couple of images. One lovely one again with Rob Burrow being part of the changing room setup. I did like that. I thought that was a nice touch. But I know that Richard Agar, Kev Sinfield, Jonesy, they'll have put a lot of thought into what kind of atmosphere and kind of ambience and vibe they'll be walking into the place. It certainly won't be what we've walked into, which is stand to attention, don't talk and don't look at anybody, and stay 2 metres away.
I know you don't often talk about this, Barry, but you were a try scorer here in 1999. How special does it feel to be part of the history of this famous cup?
I haven't missed the Leeds final since I joined the club in '95, so I did want to be part of the day, and I'm lucky enough I've got some bits and pieces to do. Not my official Sky hat today. I'm looking at it, and I'm going to be fortunate to sit and watch it and enjoy it for what it is. 99, it's hard to believe it was 21 years ago. What I would say to the players that are in the changing rooms that haven't been part of a big game is, when you win a game, like a Challenge Cup final, like a Grand Final, World Cup Challenge, You share a special bond that's never broken. Still speak on a regular basis to many parts and many players of that day, that squad, that wonderful year that '99 was. But you're right, Leanne, I did score the match-winning try, and people said at the time, you'll die now, you'll live on that for the rest of your life. Well, I'm giving it a good go. I'm 48 and it's, as I said, 21 years ago, and I'm still managing to get where castor oil won't, just on the strength of that. So yeah, great days, great times, but now I look forward to watching what should be a great game with a good gang of lads who have really come good in the last few weeks, and the lockdown was good. First game against Hull FC in the league, you know, I'm sure everybody was looking at that thinking, well, where are we going here? But the semi-final against Wigan was as good a performance as I've watched Leeds play in a long time. It's 5 years since they've been here. That wonderful side that the Rhinos had in 2015 that did the treble came here and demolished Hull. I think I was in one of these boxes here with a couple of mates, having a beer and enjoying the last sort of half an hour, because it was just try after try after try.
Just looking at the team now, Tom Briscoe obviously had an amazing final the last time he was here, scoring 5 tries. How much will his experience help the younger players in the team who haven't been here before?
There's no doubt when you've had a good experience in a game or a competition, or you're in that what they call that vein of form where you've had 3 or 4 games back to back, you do take that confidence into the game. So Tommy Briscoe's an experienced bloke, good communicator, senior player within that squad. He's surrounded by people who haven't got quite the same experience, but if Tom Briscoe can do what he does on the field, if Tom Briscoe from the back line is making good meters, creating momentum, if he's safe under the high ball, if he takes his chances when he's presenting them and given the opportunity, he's in for a great day, and that therefore will drip feed into the team. In terms of being around him in the changing rooms, I suppose, having been in those changing rooms before, some people are worked up, some people are quiet within themselves, some people look like they're getting ready for a night out and a fun and loud and sort of, you know, fun is all around them. I've not been in the changing room with Tom Briscoe, but if you believe what you hear about him, he's a relaxed character, so that confidence and that aura of composure, if players can plug into and feed off that, then I think it should be a good day.
And Luke Gale will be playing in his first Challenge Cup final. How key will he be for the Rhinos today?
Having been at all the games and having been live at all the games, including the Catalan game a couple of Wednesdays ago, I know what a difference Luke Gale makes, and I make no apologies here. I want the number 7 to have a strong game, a good game, an influential game, because I think it's a real fitting tribute and homage to our little mate who'll be watching it at home. So I'm not allowed to bet and have a gamble on any element of rugby league, but my dad is, and my dad's put a tenner on Rob Burrow's number on Luke Gale for the man of the match. But it'll play into the hands of the 2 7s, Kevin Brown and Luke Gale, because normally in a final you're fighting with the noise, you're trying to be really animated in communication, really loud and vocal, because it gets lost in the din of the crowd and the atmosphere. So it'll mean that their job is a little bit easier. Everybody will naturally look to those guidance and the sat-nav of the team, which Brown and Luke Gale will be. So I expect him to have a really good game. I expect him to have an influential part to play in this significant game, and for me it's all set up for Luke Gale, inspired by the number that he's wearing. He's often talked about taking over from Rob and wearing that number 7. Richie Myler wore it in between, but there are certain numbers in our club that carry a lot of weight, and number 7 is one of them.
And just looking at someone like Nikola Oledski, a young player who will be playing in his first final, how has he impressed you this year?
Love watching Nikola, love him. He's a character, funny without knowing that he's funny, and share a few texts with him every now and then, just to give him some feedback, because I think I'm talking about big numbers, and you know, myself and JP, who's over the other side working for the the BBC, we're blessed to wear the number 10. I think he's the next number 10 for the club, because he's got that stature, he's got that, you know, I think he's got that presence on a field. He runs hard, he hits hard, he delivers on what he says most of the time, and he's growing and developing with each passing game. I'm glad to see him, Arthur, Matt Pryor, just setting that platform. The modern game is a lot like the old game. If your big men aren't going forward and if they're not dominant, then the rest of the team is going to suffer a little bit. So I love watching him play, Nikola. It looks like he enjoys everything he does, and he, you know, when he scores a try, he's been lucky. I've watched him score a distance try at St James's and in the league. I'm pretty sure it was this year where he scored a try from distance, and the minute he breaks the line, his smile is as big as Christmas. So hopefully he gets a long ranger today, and hopefully, you know, he follows in the suit of big men getting an important try at Wembley.
And on to our opponent, Salford. Callum Watkins obviously in their squad today. He'll be wanting to have a good game against his former side, who he has won the cup with.
He deserves a good game, Callum. He deserves the right end to his career. He struggled after that knee injury. We all know what happened at the back end of his Rhinos time, but I think the credit to him, and probably a sign of how well he's thought of, nobody ever really was having a go at Callum as an individual and as a person. It was always about he needs more time to recover. Went over to Australia because of various off-field reasons. He decided to come home, signed with the Toronto club to go back to play for Barrie Mac. That didn't work out. We all know what happened in that situation. But I'm glad to see him play for Salford, because I think he adds a little bit of stardust for that squad. And I think Ian Watson's getting a lot out of him. I think Watto is somebody, and he's a coach that looks at the player, sees how they can fit in with his side, but he also looks at the side and how they can adapt to the individual. So I'll be pleased for Callum to have a good game. There's a couple of Oldham lads in there as well, Mark Flanagan and James Greenwood. You know, pleased for them, because I think Salford as a club, they're on the rise. That town, as they call it, dirty old town, Salford, that city deserves a strong, prominent role within our sport, and I'm glad to see them, along with Ian Watson and Ian Blease, you know, creating history for that club as well.
So two very good sides going against each other today. What are you expecting from this final?
I think it's hard. We're in a lot of uncertainty in all elements of how we live our daily life. But I think with this game, I will always look at little way I'll have it looking at a game is I'll look at the two sides, the 17s, and I said, would I take the player from Team A or the player from Team B, and go through the 17. The side that has the most in my ultimate 17 nearly always comes out winner. If everybody plays well, who wins? If somebody has an off day, what does that look like and what needs to happen? I think they're well matched throughout the field. I think the two sets of half-backs are well matched. You've got Robert Louis, who left Salford to join Leeds. You've also got Tuilola here, who was really struggling, but again is a player that's gone to Salford and been born again, and he's now a transformed different player. So it's really evenly matched. Forwards wise, really evenly matched. Reece Martin is a player that came in at the back of last year, goal kicker of course. I think he adds a lot with Robert Louis on their side over on the right. The kicking game of both teams will be important because it's a big pitch. It feels bigger with no crowding. So you need to get that aspect of your game right. So Kev Brown and Luke Gale, their kicking game will come into sharp focus. I'm obviously gonna wish that Leeds will get to lift that trophy and take it home to let Rob Burrow have a lift of it. But if Leeds play well, if they do all the key components of their game as well as they can, then I think it's going to be a great game to watch. For Salford, they've done remarkably well on the money that they spend within that squad. They've done remarkably well. to get to the grand final last year, lose a Man of Steel, and then get to another major final this year. But I think that Leeds should have a little bit too much for them if they play to their potential. If they turn up and they're not quite on the money, then don't be surprised to see that reversed and Salford lift that trophy.
Just being here at Wembley and not seeing any crowd, fans, it feels quite strange, but looking behind you with all the flags there of all the clubs, that's really special, isn't it, that they are represented here today? Really
special, and as I say, I think there's going to be a lot of eyes watching it on TV at home to be represented. We bumped into quite a few Salford fans who intelligently have booked tables and food in places in and around Wembley, so good luck, well done to them. It's different. You can't wish for what you haven't got. It's a shame after 50 odd years that Salford don't get to share the experience with those loyal fans, but you could say the same about the Rhinos fans. The last 5 years have been traumatic. 17 there was a grand final win, but since 2015 it's been a steep decline and a real slow incline. You only have to watch the Wednesday team, because it looks like the first team and the second team are playing at the minute with those midweek games full of youngsters. It looks like we're in a really good place with some quality youngsters. I'm enjoying watching Liam Tingle at this level. I think he's got more than a passing resemblance to Ryan Hall. Of course, Jared O'Connor, I think he's doing an amazing job. He's not a 9, but he'll play a 9. He's not a kicker, but he'll kick. He's fearless, like his mum, not like his dad, who's fearful. But I'm enjoying watching him play, as I am with all those younger lads. So it's a different atmosphere today. The club looks like it can get the first piece of silverware today. So I'm looking forward to watching as a fan, feeding back. We've got a couple of things to do, you and I, Leanne, throughout the day, but sitting back and watching the game.